Steph Schrader, and this is Build of the Week. We tend to focus on weird cars that shouldn't exist, created by someone who's just a little off-kilter in a way that we appreciate. And so for years, I have called the LS swap basic. I have said it is the pumpkin spice of engine swaps, it's boring, and I'm about to have to eat all of those words because I'm sitting in a car like a car that I own, a Porsche 944. This one happens to belong to Vance Vincent and his AER team, and he put an LS3 in the front. I hate to admit it, but it's brilliant. Let's see why people love this swap so much.
Beautiful. The 944's transaxle design puts its new Porsche engine in front and transmission in back. This produces balanced weight and results in improved cornering and balanced braking. The new 944 Porsche. At Porsche, excellence is expected.
The 944 was a much praised update to Porsche's first entry-level front-engine coupe, the 924. For the 944, Porsche finally replaced the 924's Audi-sourced inline-4 with a more powerful, honest-to-goodness Porsche engine. The 944 offered some of the biggest inline-4s of the modern era, eventually working its way up to a 3-liter option in the 944 S2. 3 liters! You usually see that displacement out of 6 cylinders, not 4s. The 944's Porsche engines were praised both for their smoothness when naturally aspirated and for their ability to make giggle-inducing power when turbocharged. They were brilliant. And this American endurance racing team of Vance Vincent, Mike Stack, and Alex Rubinstein took theirs out to put in an LS. Why did you ruin a perfectly good 944?
A guy named Spencer Cox built this car in the early 2000s to make a cup car killer. When the 996 cup cars were coming onto the scene, he was a big 944 enthusiast, and he really wanted to show that 944s could hold their own against the modern Porsches, and made a very good car that he campaigned in Porsche Club Racing for several years. And then eventually it blew up. He was running a 3-liter turbo engine in it. When I think about one time he turned the boost up to about 30 psi.
That'll do it.
And that did it. We got this car as a rolling chassis with boxes of some damaged and some undamaged engine parts. Mike came across it once on a tour of the shop, was drawn to it, kind of a magnetism, I think, and said, I need that car.
How did that go from that to an LS3 swap monster?
The 3 of us, Mike, Alex, and I, were talking one day and came up with this idea of a spare engine that Alex had and a spare chassis that Mike had, and I had some room in my home shop to do a bunch of work. So it's like, hey, let's all kind of kick in our expertise and make this happen.
But why the LS?
So we knew it was going to take it out of Porsche Club Racing, but we thought that we could have a lot of fun at it with it at the Monticello Motor Club, where we are today. And Mike and I and Alex do AER, American Endurance Racing, where engine swaps are allowed in that series as well. And interestingly, the LS engine fits pretty well, and it's really about the same weight as a turbo motor, so it wasn't going to change the dynamics of the car too much.
Alright, so maybe I can't fault these guys for replacing an engine that done blowed up with one that hadn't. The wide-body chassis they already had was too cool to go unused. The car is 4 inches wider than a stock 944, and it used to have a boosted 944 engine that gave its nickname Turkey for the chirping wastegate noises it made. The pop-up headlights are gone, as that's a lot of weight in the nose of the car. The car also runs off a custom wiring harness, which cuts its weight way down. The general layout of the car is mostly that of a stock 944, but most of its parts have been tweaked just a little bit using the 944 family of stock, related, or aftermarket parts. The transmission, for example, comes from the next evolution of the 944 called the 968. There's Fabcar control arms, Coquelin sway bars, a Coquelin rear subframe, and Bilstein Escort cup shocks. All items built for 944s. Still, there were things that had to be changed just a little bit more to make work with the LS swap. The V8 took too much room in the engine bay for the power braking system, so they built a manual brake setup for the car using various Porsche components. They also combined the GM power steering pump with the 944's power steering rack to make it all work. Surprisingly, the fiberglass wide-body panels aren't that much lighter than the stock 944 steel ones. The cage has some extra elements to stiffen up the car as well. All in all, the Turkey weighs 2,700 pounds with a full tank of gas, which is right in line with many regular non-turbo 944 race cars like the one I have. Except this one has a lot more power from that LS up front. After the addition of headers and a custom tune, the LS3 in the Turkey cranks out about 460 horsepower at the crank and 390 at the rear wheels.
It's no doubt that it's a fast car, but I've been really pleased with how well it puts the power down. You know, I've been in some fast cars that are kind of scary. You know, you feel like they're going to kill you, they're going to bite you if you don't turn in just right or release the brakes just right. As you go faster, stopping is important. So we've also upgraded the brakes. So we actually have GT3 996 GT3 calipers in the front.
Nemesis.
And the original 944 turbo front calipers we have in the rear.
I fumbled through a few laps of a track I've never driven before. The throttle was very, easy to roll in on. I mean, how did you get this car to be so controllable?
You know, it's actually a very technically advanced engine in terms of the engine management. You know, we're monitoring wheel speed, so we can do traction control. It's got, this electronic throttle, so we can, do different, throttle routines of, it's in lower gears, we can do softer acceleration than in higher gears. So there's a lot of neat technology and sensors collecting data, but yet it's still kind of just a, regular manual brakes, just lightly assisted power steering for a very user-friendly, kind of a visceral track feel.
Yeah, and it's an interesting way to kind of use all of your skills, two 944 guys and someone who just happens to have an LS.
Someone that knows engines, engine management, and being able for each of us to bring our skills to the table, our love for older cars, our love for technology, and our love for racing, and wanting to create a car that's fun to drive and reliable. We've achieved that.
Very cool.